Yep. Cool. Making sure I don't. Let me see if I can turn this down. Other people in the music. Oh, here we go.
Oh, God.
I don't know how this is going to work. Read it. Unless everybody can hear me. I speak pretty loud. David Balcar is a veteran security professional with over 15 years experience, proficient in conducting penetration testing, computer forensics of multiple operating systems, web application security testing, and wireless testing. Has extensive experience in multiple operating systems that I'm not going to read aloud. And strengths line security testing, forensics, policy review, and compliance assessments for HIPAA and PCI DSS. You're a member of HTCIA and ISA. There you go.
Thanks. So did y'all see the hilarious one? I love that one.
Yeah.
That one's one of my favorite. So there was a news report, I don't know if y'all saw this just recently, a guy was made up in a garb, he had a fake RPG and was walking up and down the street, and it took the police 18 minutes or something to show up. The police said they got there in 3.5 minutes, but you can clearly watch the video of the guy just sitting there walking up and down the street, and you can time it, you know. Sometimes the most obvious stuff people just don't even see.
Is that illegal? Walk around with a fake RPG?
No?
Yeah, but I think he got some legal bills out of it.
Yeah, he'll have some legal bills out of that one.
Oh.
Oh, this isn't the slide deck no more. I thought we were here for like. Okay, no, we'll talk about this one. So how's the conference been?
Great.
Good? We're still awake? Ready to beat the Houston traffic? Is everyone from Houston? No?
Yes.
Yes?
There's no traffic in Houston.
No, I go to all kinds of cities and I just kind of laugh, you know, when I go to, we're in such huge traffic, and, you know, I'm like, dude, this is nothing.
They've never seen gridlock in New York City.
Actually,
Or the
Chicago,
freeways in LA.
Chicago may be the worst.
Luckily for tonight, I have to walk 2 blocks to the theater. We're doing preview night for Frankenstein.
That's easy. Luckily, I actually have been on the road for 5 weeks. I spoke at 2 other conferences in the last couple of weeks, gave 2 or 3 other speeches, and every single city has been crazy. It's either I hear it's got so much traffic, or oh no, we don't have any traffic. And literally the people that say, oh, we have no traffic, actually have more traffic than they even think of. They're like, oh, I'm used to waiting 20, 30 minutes.
Denial.
Yes. So you've been breached. Now what? How many people have been breached? Wow. I usually get one, and I get the scratch in the face. And I'm like, oh, please don't tell me. Come on in.
Usually, if you don't need it.
So most of the cases that I work is that people, when we look at their systems and stuff, is they don't even know they've been breached. We're usually called in there doing a lot of credit card stuff. I do assessments and audits for PCI, and a lot of the times we'll find indicators that they've been breached and data's been taken. But I will tell you this funny story. I just worked a case for a group out of California. They threw up their hands. They were just so scared that they got breached. They were losing data because California's got the most stringent rules for breach notification. Okay? Does anybody know what the breach notification here is in Texas? And who you reported to?
Responsible disclosure? I don't know. What is it?
No, they do. The state has a thing that you're supposed to report it to the state, but they have no phone number, no website. You can't. There's nothing you can do.
You drive to Austin and you just
just knock on the
give them
door.
a
Hey.
little notebook.
So on the breaches, you know, like I was saying, half the time we go into these systems and we'll find signs. You know, we find either malware or we're seeing data loss, credit cards all over the place. It's crazy. We went into a site about 2 months ago. The customer says, no, we don't keep any credit cards. We have an outside processor. They process everything. Yep, we were doing actually an internal pen test. We got on one of their servers, grabbed one of the databases, just sucked all the data out of it, and poof, all these unencrypted credit card numbers. But yet,
They don't store credit cards.
they don't store credit. So let's look at some of the breaches that have happened. So this is a hacker steal $6.7 million. This is over the new year, just recently in South Africa. So these guys actually broke into a system, this bank in South Africa, created a bunch of dummy accounts, put money into these accounts, got all these ATM cards, gave them out to all their mules, like 1,000. And then over the 3 days, in all these little cities in South Africa, they went and just siphoned out $1,000 at a time, $1,500 at a time out of all these ATMs in 3 days. $6.7 million. They didn't discover it because all the banking employees, every single one of them, went home for the holidays. Their bank systems didn't alert anybody. No one's phone went off. You know, I do a lot of work with banks. Trust me, we would know if something's going on. In Brazil, this one's funny because there was an update to this recently. In Brazil, there's a cybercrime school, and they'll teach you how to be a web designer, a hacker, a programmer, a banker, a defacer, or a spammer. You know, they teach you all these skills. Does anybody know what a banker is? It's a criminal that specializes just in doing banking issues, going after bank exploits. A defacer, they just teach you how to deface websites and stuff. They actually put a blog post saying, no, that's not what we're doing. We're teaching how to be good. And people are like, no, you're not. RSAs, how do people use the little RSA tokens? I actually did a demo. I don't know if anyone's ever heard me speak before. I did a live demo where I hacked an RSA token live. There's several tools out there in the old tokens. You can hack them. So you can figure out what the next sequential number is. RSA got hacked with a spear phishing attack, came into HR, the lady clicked on it, and then mayhem started. So my biggest thing was, how can an HR computer have access? Because they pivoted off this computer, went all over their organization, and got keys to the kingdom. And they did. RSA is not telling you everything they took. I'm telling you right now. I actually gave a speech at a conference 2 weeks ago, and RSA was there giving a speech on their breach. So I made them feel real uncomfortable because I spoke first. After that, there was a little over 760 companies that were also breached, and it was a fifth of the Fortune 100. Okay? Oops. Where am I going? I'm just click happy. So if you have those things, RSA, and I had customers call me, oh my God, we've got to get rid of all our tokens. RSA made such a stink on it. If anybody's from RSA, please see me afterward. About not replacing their tokens. So I know Vasco's stock went up, but I know a couple other vendors that sell this kind of stuff. They definitely went up. Okay, Sony. How many people have PlayStations? You got kids that have PlayStations and stuff? I have a PlayStation. So yeah, so we've all been breached, right? So these guys came in, they tore the Sony network up. Actually, since that, I mean, Sony got tore up about 11 more times after this, worldwide. So they said the information of about 77 million players on their network was taken. They claim only $171 million. I say bogus. There's no way it was only $170 million. I think it was 3 times that amount to fix what they got. So what did they get? Well, they got name, address, PSN password, email address, birthday. What is this? Anybody tell me what that is?
Social engineering.
Man, that is the best social engineering right there. That is awesome. Now the spear phishing attacks, I could base that on. I could probably rob everybody for that. What was interesting, somebody says, oh, they didn't get credit card information. They can't guarantee they didn't get credit card information, because on the same databases where this is held is the credit card information. Now people say, well, Dave, you got hacked. Well, I say, sure, they can have everything they want. Because guess what, on my PlayStation, it's not my real name, it's not my real address, it's not my real credit card. I use throwaway credit cards on all these consoles. I have a Wii, I've got a PS3, it's all fake. Okay, so they can steal it all day long. The most they'll get off that little card is $100. I use a throwaway $100 card on that thing. So if my son wants to buy a game or something, go ahead. It's no big deal. So of course, yeah, I changed my password on here and my stuff, but it didn't really matter to me. They weren't going to get anything. Sony. So this is Sony Music in the UK. Okay. So they got in there, some hackers got in there, and they stole 50,000 music tracks. All this data was exfiltrated out of their network. Okay. They stole all these music tracks. Well, what was interesting, they said that they stole everything that Michael Jackson's ever done, even unreleased recordings. How much are those worth? Those got to be worth millions and millions of dollars, right? Because people want their hands on it because, you know, he's passed away now. So yeah, everything. So the British Times said everything Sony purchased was compromised. NASA, right here in Houston, right? So the Inspector General looked at it and did this report. And it says the NSA spends $1.5 billion annually on their IT budget. Only $58 million is for security. You can look in the paper every day, NASA's reporting, oh, we got breached. China's here, China's there. They got this plan, they're looking at that. It's crazy. This is a hospital in the UK. I'm bringing this one up. This one's kind of funny because this affects a lot of people. I've actually heard people deal with this. So they had a whole surplus of hard drives. They decommissioned all these hard drives and they had them in a bin. They had a contractor in there. He was doing some work and he goes, "Wow, they're just going to throw those things away? Okay, well, I'm going to take a few hundred." And then he started selling. He started selling on eBay. Well, the problem was they weren't wiped. So what did they have? All their HIPAA information, all their healthcare information. So the hospital actually got fined. You know, this is in pounds. It's about $700,000 or so because this guy came in and did that. I actually have one customer that I don't know how y'all wipe drives and stuff, but they actually, it's a school district. They actually bought a drill press, and they go, brrr, they put a hole through all their drives and just they throw them in a pile. They don't care. No one's going to get that. Stratford, who knows about Stratford? Yeah, a few people. Yeah, out of Austin, right? They're an information threat analysis company. I don't know what's a better word for use all those terms very loosely, right? So they were breached in December on this. Well, look what they stole. They took 68,000 credit cards, emails, passwords. Almost 12% could be easily cracked in under 10 seconds with common tools. It was crazy. Okay? Now, the point I make about these guys was who claimed responsibility for this? Anonymous, right? Okay, what is Anonymous? Did they go out and buy big screen TVs with these credit cards? No?
With charity.
They went to charities. They gave money to Red Cross and about 10 other charities on these guys' credit cards. It was great. And they also released all this email saying how shady some of the dealings that these guys were doing, which I thought was kind of good. So Facebook, how many people on Facebook? That's it? I'm the only one not on Facebook. Like 4 people. So there was a worm, the Remit worm. 45,000 user accounts were compromised on Facebook. But if you noticed, after that, it grew and it infected 800,000 machines. That's a nice botnet right there. We want having control of that. So hackers now are said to be doing their own satellite. So they've already got a base station. Okay, because what do they want? They want secure email, secure voice over IP, secure internet access anywhere in the world. Okay, they say it's going to take them $10 million to do this. I'm sure there's a couple of governments that probably shoot this thing down if it ever goes up. I'm sure SpaceX would be more than happy to put the satellite up there for them. But it just goes to, show what's going on. Zappos. I see a few ladies in here. How many people buy shoes from Zappos? Just one? You used to? All right, your credit cards are gone. Yeah.
Gone.
Thank you very much, all 24 million.
There's actually two, right? So they have a parent company. So if you belong to both of them, I got both emails.
All right. I've been breached. I'm a veteran, and the laptop was stolen a couple years ago. 40 million VA records were on there. All our hospital records and all this stuff. My name was on there. I got that letter. Hey, great. Personally, I wouldn't want to piss off 40 million veterans. We kind of know how to shoot a gun, so I'll find you, whether it's cyber world or the real world. So the Pawnee Group says it costs about $214 per record in an average data breach. People can argue this number back and forth. You know, I've heard, oh no, that only costs 50 cents, and I hear, oh, it costs you $500. Well, it does cost, but the only point I'm trying to make here is it does cost something, because it's going to cost stuff for your attorneys. It's going to cost for consultants to come in and try to figure out forensics people. And I know Mike's not cheap, so it's going to cost a lot of money. And PR. Now, a lot of people said, oh, well, TJ Maxx, they came back. Well, if you look at their actual financials that they filed, financially, they went down 30% for the first 3 months after their breach. Zappos too, they've gone down. This one's pretty recent. This is a credit card processor that initially they said, oh, well, we think we only lost $1 million, but they've gone back through. Now they're saying Curbs is coming back and says, no, this is a massive breach. 10 million cards are gone. Okay. And then CNN reported that the company, Global Payments, Inc., their stock fell 9% that day when the breach was announced.
I lost a credit card number after an internet transaction in April. I've yet to get a letter from anybody.
It depends on the breach. It depends on how many, too. So some places you have to have 500 records or more to report where you have to report it to somebody. You know, I was in Kansas a couple weeks ago. Their breach is 500. You have to have 500 lost. Then it has to be, you have to show proof that the data was unencrypted or obfuscated, that, you know, it's not redacted information. Otherwise, you don't have to report it. But I'm going to show you some places where you can go look to see if your company is on here. Can't leave out Texas. And I always change this. I've changed this slide about 6 times now in the last few weeks. Texas A&M, how many Aggies do we have in here?
Thank God.
God. Well, okay. I didn't go to school. Huh? I'm not an Aggie. My dad graduated from UT. My school didn't have a football team. We had a surfing team, so that's a whole other story. So what did A&M lose? Social security numbers, names, address, phone numbers, and they sent an email message to notify people. So it does happen. And tilted kilt. I know there's some tilted kilts around here, you know, for the beer drinkers and stuff. Someone broke into their system, their POS system, and it's point of sale. It's not a Ford technology. That they lost all their, hey, we got it! They lost all their stuff, and which was pretty interesting. They said within 24 hours of them learning that they got breached and lost all their credit cards off their point of sale system, they ripped out the entire system and put a whole brand new system in. So that doesn't mean it's any more secure, because they probably didn't have anybody to come in and do some pen testing and checking. So the ID Theft Center is a great place to go. I'm going to show you a couple places, and I just want to give you an example of what it looks like. You're going to see the company, what state, what kind of breach it was, what was it? Is it medical? Is it credit card? And were records published? And like this is Harris County Hospital District, lost 3,000 records. And they actually give you the news article or where the information came from. Because what these guys do is they scour the internet looking for AP wires and all this other stuff. And companies, you can actually call them and say, hey, we've been breached, you know, add us to your list. And they update their PDF every single day. You can go look at it every single day. I check it about once a week when I go. And I actually go check all my customers, see if any of those are on there and whatnot. Data loss DB, kind of a similar thing. They get even more data. And they're listed, this is just right off their webpage. They actually show this at the top. So you can see how breaches have come up during certain times. And you can see all the records they lost and when the date was and who it was. The question marks you always have to wonder because they just don't know. That, it's those customers that just lost probably everything and just don't know. So a couple good. Does anybody use these two sites? Use these two sites. I know Nick, he uses these sites. He better use these sites. But yeah, so you can see the IEEE. Does anybody know who IEEE is? Yeah, it's an international standards board, okay? That's my background is electrical engineering, so yeah. And that was interesting that 100,000 passwords were just right on the internet. Some guy just found it by accident just by clicking around. Oh, got to pick on Android. How many Android users we got? Yes. All right, I love Android. I was just at another conference 3 weeks ago where we owned a Android device with a USB. We just plugged right into the phone and just owned it just like that. You could steal everything off of them. Anyways, these are two of malware that's on Android, and I've done some malware analysis on the forensic sides on this stuff. It's pretty interesting. Droid Dreamlight, and Are You Fraud? These are, you can add in different app stores. How many app stores can you put on an iPhone?
A couple
Anyone?
if you want to
The
root
one
it.
that comes with it.
Yeah.
Once you jailbreak it.
I've got 9 app stores on my phone. So yeah, you can do more. Apple doesn't like that. But Android gives you the option to do that. So what these guys were doing is on these app stores you might not even know about, is they're putting malware. And has malware made it into the Apple store? Sure. What they claim, Apple's saying, no, it's not malware. But there's stuff that these guys have put up there to start stealing your information. There was an address book stealer that made it through Apple's system. But on the Android system, they have a pretty cool automated system when you submit their software up there. It scans it, puts it in a sandbox, does all this stuff. But the Are You Fraud was pretty cool. What it did, every time you got an SMS message and you sent it out, it wouldn't send out the SMS message regular. It would send it to a premium service. So you'd see $1.99 every time you sent an SMS message on your bill, and someone would get that $1.99. Okay. I know within just a couple of hours, these were on like 50,000 phones because people just clicked on them. They're like, oh, I need that app. I need a battery app. Click. This one I just found. So we were talking about Apple, so I couldn't leave Apple out, right? So this one was in there. This is a bogus Microsoft Word. Okay? If you look at here, Word wasn't released on the iPhone. Look where it's going. Super Racing Real Games, and they would charge you $10. Bogus, bogus, bogus. It did nothing. You click on it, and all it did was shut down and open the browser and take you to their website to go buy their stuff. Okay? It made it on the Apple App Store. This is a picture from the App Store. So it can happen. Carrier IQ. Who's heard of Carrier IQ? Couple people. Okay, for everyone who doesn't know who Carrier IQ is, everybody had Carrier IQ. It's a rootkit. Okay, Carrier IQ, this company said, no way, you didn't find anything. Well, this researcher Trevor came through and did a forensics analysis and debug of this software running on all these phones, and noticed it was doing some pretty crazy stuff. When an SMS message would come into your phone, it would intercept it, analyze it, take whatever it wanted, send it off to another server, and then display it on your phone. And you know how fast SMS messages can come up sometimes. It was taking it could look for keywords and trigger off keywords and grab information. It was recording keystrokes. You could sit there and watch it as he was demonstrating this, and he recorded all this as he was debugging it. It could record your keystroke or your phone calls. Now, phone calls, who cares? Because the phone companies, if you didn't hear the report 2 days ago, AT&T and Verizon is selling everyone's web browsing on your phone. They're selling it to marketing people, which I think is crazy. I'm hoping they're going to get in trouble for that. But this stuff is really bad. Apple says it got removed in an update in iOS 5. I don't know, I haven't ripped a phone apart to see, but it should be gone. But it's definitely there. Android's a lot easier to find because you can go download an app to look for Carrier IQ, and you can, if you root your Android phone, you know it's not there because you're going to put another firmware on it from somebody else beside the carrier. The carriers were like, oh, no, this is just monitoring software. If we drop connection, we can see where you're dropping and how much your signal strength. No, because this guy went to the Carrier IQ's website, didn't hack it, didn't do anything, just clicked on documentation, and here comes all the user manuals from their stuff. And they have a dashboard, these guys can log in, and they can just tag on a phone, an IMI number, it says, what has this phone been doing? Show me the SMS messages, key logs, everything. It was crazy. Mobile banking. So how many people do mobile banking on their phone? Man, that's about 6 too many. This company, Digital Forensics, they actually analyzed all these mobile banking and social media apps, looking for data leakage, looking for, if your full account number came across, did it store it? Is it non-encrypted? Is it encrypted? All this kind of stuff. And 14 out of 32 of Android and iPhone financial apps passed the test. So not even half passed the just basic data leakage problem. Okay. None of the 19 social networking, I always call them social engineering sites, but the social networking apps did not pass either. Has anyone ever rented furniture or anything from Aaron's or anything else? No? Cool, good. This just came out not too long ago. So what Aaron's was doing, the Aaron's and Color Time and Premier Realm, it was 7 different companies indicted with the FTC and fined because they were putting spyware on all their computers going out. It did geolocation, it turned on the webcam, and so they caught them red-handed with pictures of people in compromising positions and all kinds of crazy stuff. So they said, we need this to track our people so if they don't pay the bill. I don't know. That's taken it a little bit too far for myself, but.
Wasn't there a Philadelphia school system?
Yes, there was.
Yes, there was. Same thing. They said, oh, we got to put tracking information, and they were watching students. The problem they were doing was they were picking certain people and going and telling, oh, show me everything coming from that computer, because they were just turning it on ad hoc. They weren't turning it on only when they lost a laptop. They were turning it on all the time and watching people, so they got in big trouble. Credit card numbers. How much is your credit card number worth in the underground? Anybody know?
$1.
$5 or $10, something like that. Depends on how.
I think it's like $1, and if there's a full set of information, I think it's fine.
1 to 3 US per credit card number. Now I'll tell you a funny thing. I'm Dave Balcar when I'm up here. When I'm behind that computer, I'm about 4 or 5 other different people. I never tell anybody how many or who that is. Because I live in that side, and then I live on this side. And the only reason is because I want to know what these guys are doing. So when I'm in these forums and listening to these credit card buyers, it's really funny. I was listening to one several months ago. A guy popped up and says, hey, I got 40,000 cards. I'm going to sell it to you. If you buy in the next 10 minutes, I'll take 10% off. Making deals, trying to sell these cards. Okay? You can even ask for test cards. The guys will do this because, crooks don't trust crooks. So, the guys were giving up cards. They'll give you anywhere from 5 to 10 cards usually, sometimes more depending on how big their batch is. And they'll say, here, go test them. If they're good, come back and come on, buy. So that's what people do. They take these and they don't go buy a TV. They charge $1.98. They charge $5.06 because so the credit card systems won't pop up and say that it's not a valid charge because they'll simulate a purchase from like Starbucks or something like that won't trip the credit card company's systems to flag it as a fraud. As soon as that comes back, boom, people will start buying. I've seen cards go, you would think $40,000, $1 to $3. I've seen it cheaper, just depending on bunch. The biggest one I saw was about almost 100,000 Amex cards. How much y'all think that went for?
$100,000? I don't know.
No.
40?
No, $280,000 sold. I actually watched the bartering going back and forth. It was really interesting. Central America, Europe, okay, $3 to $8. Asia, Middle East, $6 to $10 card number. Yeah, I see. I said the same thing. I always wondered why the thing, because a lot of the forums I'm in are just, it's usually U.S. cards and European cards, not too many Middle East cards. I'm not really, because I don't read Farsi on the fly, so that just doesn't help me. But I did do some research, and Trend, this is actually a Trend Micro number. So when they looked at this, it's higher per capita, even though they have less people, it's higher per capita money in the bank. You know, we keep buying their oil. PayPal account, how many people have PayPal accounts? Yeah, look at these numbers right here, $1 to $6. I see the average on PayPal accounts. If you have a PayPal account that's associated with an active credit card, okay, on the black market that I've seen in the forums is about $3 generally. That's what it runs for. Because they'll ask. You'll hear, oh, I got a PayPal account. Okay, does it have a credit card with it? If not, okay, no. If it doesn't have a credit card, I've never seen it over $1. It's always less than $1. Because they know they can only do so much with it. Today's reality. So what are we seeing out there? These are numbers from actual breaches over the last year. This is from the Verizon Business Cyber Team. So they worked, several hundred breaches. This is what I was talking about earlier. 92% of all these breaches between Secret Service and Verizon, a couple other agencies now that are tying in, 92% were discovered by a third party. Not just Verizon, but other people. It was always really high. And 96% had to be PCI compliant. Okay? I have a customer, I won't tell you who it is. Luckily they're not in this state. They're not PCI compliant. They're trying to get PCI compliant. They get fined $40,000 a week because they're not compliant. But they make that money in a minute. So to them, it doesn't matter, but they're trying. It's cost of doing business, exactly. Yes, sir?
Isn't that a bit unusual? Some merchant bankers will shut you down after a while.
Yeah, but when this company is bringing in millions of dollars a day, they're not going to shut them down. Nope. I'll tell you that right now. They'll look at it and they go, whoa, hey, come on, you got, as long as they're trying to show compliance, you know, that we're trying, we've got a PCI team going, we've had our QSAs come in and talk to them. Yeah, we're trying. Yeah. So the PCI industry is kind of strange because they have a grip, right? You know you have to go to a card processor. All the card processors talk to each other. So if you're not compliant and you have a breach, okay, they will slap you on the wrist, and then you'll move up to level 1. You'll have to have automatic audits every single year and all this stuff. But what they do to people, and which they have done to people that have just said, we don't need to worry about this PCI stuff. What the credit card companies do, they said, and they did this to a doctor, a surgeon's office, or a surgery center. They fined them. They sent them a bill, say, you owe us $50,000 because you got breached and you're not compliant. Well, the doctors goes, well, I'm not paying it. No, spent 2.5 months saying, nope, not going to pay it. So what did the card processor do? Jacked up their processing rates to 6%. Yeah. Within 2 days, you think a check was on their door? You betcha. Because cost of doing business was way cheaper to pay that 50 grand than to pay 6% on every credit card transaction. Okay? WikiLeaks. How many people have gone to WikiLeaks? Come on, everybody raise their hand. Everybody go to WikiLeaks. It's the coolest thing. Find out all kinds of stuff. I'll get some water.
Depends on what network you're on when you go there.
I'm waiting for the phone call. So yes, the CIA had a name for them. They have this task force, and who knows how this made it past that no one ever caught this. But WikiLeaks has a lot of cool stuff because they're not out there getting money or anything. They're actually just showing, they're taking breaches and taking all this mail and the Stratford emails, all that stuff. You've got stuff from Bank of America, you got Korea's information, whatever. It's just a dumping ground. So the Identity Theft Resource Center reported 419 breaches in 2011, so decreased actually from 2010, with 22 million records exposed. And of course, 2012 has blown that away, just in the, it's gone quick. As it's the 25th, they've reported 310 breaches just this year, and the year's not over. So you can definitely go to that ITRC website, and you can see their PDF. They just update it all the time, and that's all I'm doing is looking how many more breaches. So I think they're gonna pass the 419 this year without a problem. So here's hoping for a more secure. So what's today? Too many people focus on the outside. How many people focus just on the outside? I gotta keep the bad guys out. Not so much. Asked that same question 2 years ago. Everyone would say, yep, gotta have a firewall. I still hear that today. Gotta have a firewall. Avian, this is my greatest quote. Avian firewalls will keep me secure. That's an actual quote. I took it from somebody that I was talking to one time. Most people think of only keeping the bad guys out. Where are the bad guys? Huh? Employees? Yeah, according to FBI stats and according to Dave's stats, it's 70+% insider theft. Insiders stealing the information or trying to take something or crashing something or hacking into stuff. Okay? 90% of the break-ins, and these are our numbers, cases that I work in this configuration. I did an assessment for a group, and they moved. They were moving from one office to another. They got all new lines, they got new firewalls and everything. Well, the guy, their main firewall guy, okay, this was a financial group, went on vacation that weekend. So his replacement IT guy put in the new firewall. Left the FTP port open. We got in less than 20 minutes after they put their FTP up, and we sucked all their database off in about 4 hours. They couldn't figure out why their bandwidth was tied up. Then it settled off. They just thought a lot of people were coming online over the weekend. But that just goes to show you, when I walked in Monday morning and said, here's all your data.